Hi there, and yeah, welcome to the review of the year. I suppose it's going to be a review of 2023 and looking forward to 2024. In particular, legal jobs in the South African market, which is our area of expertise. I'm not going to spend too long on looking at what's been going on this year. I think we all know what's happened this year, and anybody who follows this series of videos will know where we've been looking and where we've seen some growth, and things won't change too much on that basis. But I'm going to give you a little bit more of some insight into what we've been looking at that will help us look at the legal job market in South Africa and what we might see in the coming year in a short while. But yes, 2023, interesting year. We've all worked solidly hard. I'm sure most of you out there are enjoying the break. Hopefully you're watching this or listening to this whilst having a nice break at the beach or somewhere with family, because it was a tough year. It was a hard year. A lot of no power in South Africa. I think the report that came out the other day stated that we only had 55 days where we didn't have load shedding. I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it? Really. I mean, how, imagine if I joked with my sister-in-law over Christmas that imagine what we would achieve if we actually had power. I mean, I think South Africa, we'd probably take over the world, wouldn't we? But I think, it's been an interesting year. There's been a lot of focus on senior partner level placements, and that will continue next year in the law firms. The in-house market, again, not huge, not a little bit of replacements here and there, a little bit of growth here and there, but not a huge amount going on. International firms advertising all over LinkedIn, getting 4,000 applicants, and then in many cases just not hiring at all. So very, very interesting times in the legal job market over 2023. So going forward, looking at 2024, what can we predict for the legal job market here in South Africa? Well, it's an election year, isn't it? So, I'm expecting a steady stream of good news. I mean, the power's already on for a little bit longer than it used to be, and I'm sure that will continue. The ANC is obviously going to continue to try and do everything it possibly can to hold its position as the governing party of the country, and it's going to be interesting this year. I think it'll be a good year. I think it'll be a steady stream of good news. I think the stock market will continue to rise. I think that they'll do everything in their power to make it look like a good year. So let's jump on that. But looking at specifics, let's look at specifics, and I've got some notes here that I am going to refer to, and I will share a chart with you in a moment. But if we look at 2024, I'm going to look in particular at the M&A market, because the M&A market largely drives a lot of the legal activity, right? The corporate M&A market, as we know, really does drive it. From that, then obviously, if you think of that as the body of the spider, then obviously everything else comes off that, all the different legs and practice areas. But it's really the corporate M&A activity that wasn't great this year, but I'm expecting a bit of a tick up. It really depends, doesn't it? I mean, it's a tough one to read. I mean, I've read so much, as I'm sure many of you have, from varying economists, those who are positive and those who are negative. But we have got a lot of elections this year. We've got America, we've got Britain, and we've got here major markets that we're going to see a steady stream of good news coming out, because the governing parties are going to want to hang on to power. That will then lead itself to people feeling a little bit more inclined to spend a bit more money. And then, if people are feeling good, then, M&A corporate activity and commercial activity might grow. However, there are people out there predicting recessions, or there's parts of the government here that are saying that they're not going to reduce interest rates until after they find out who's going to be in power post November. So that's causing a little bit of uncertainty, which could, if interest rates go up, then that could dampen M&A activity altogether. But let's hope that doesn't happen. There's, the economy isn't in a great place. It's sluggish at best. certainly in sectors like resources and infrastructure. But then saying that, that's what we're told. And then if you go to Johannesburg, you drive around, you see infrastructure going up all over the place. So I don't know. It's a tough one to read. Personally, I think there'll be steady stream of good news, which will lead to companies feeling a little bit more positive, which could see more M&A activity, which will lead to more corporate work, which means corporate commercial law firms will do more work, which means the other practice areas will continue to do more. So I'm predicting 2024 to be a better year on that basis. With continue to see growth in the renewable sector. Financial services will continue to grow. If people are feeling good, then retail will continue to grow. I mean, we might see some of the struggle. We might see a bit of a consolidation on retail side of things. Then some of the struggling retailers might look to sell assets or merge. We might see a little bit of that, which could be good for the for that market, certainly in terms of M&A activity. But one of the papers I read the other day said that the first half there'll be a slowdown if this global and domestic economic conditions remain uncertain. There could be a dampener on M&A activity. Okay, well, it's simply we just don't know, do we? I mean, it really depends. And the second half, economies will stabilise, voting will be in, everything will go calmer again once we know who's next. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And then everything will calm down, and then M&A activity and investment and FDI and things like that will continue to then lead to a even better 2024. 2024 going into 2025. The big concerns, obviously, are Eskom and Transnet. They're never out of the paper. I mean, it's really a real concern, especially in the Transnet with the area of transport, logistics, and various other industries that come off that. You know, we really, really need, and our economy really needs a functioning Transnet, and hopefully the governing body, governing powers, will see to that will get back on track very, very quickly. Because without that, both on Eskom and Transnet, logistics breaking down, widespread blackouts will lead to an economic recession, and we're hoping we can avoid that, obviously. We've been looking at growth areas on the job front. We're going to see continued growth in legal tech. So as some of the departments in the law firms certainly take on more technology, there's going to be more jobs for AI engineers. There's going to be cybersecurity lawyers needed. There's going to be greater focus probably out of those that are doing data privacy work at the moment. I'm seeing lots and lots of reports coming out of English legal news and magazines, from Britain and from America, about there being more and more regulation being brought in because AI simply, as a software cannot start making legal judgment calls, and that's going to get people into trouble. So expect much more regulation to come on, which again will lead to jobs in that space. We're expecting an increase in environmental law, healthcare law, data privacy law, immigration law. These are areas that are peripheral at the moment, but we will see more growth. There will be a continued need for corporate and good litigators, those with books of business. Good. I'm expecting a decrease in the number of junior lawyers that are taken on. We've talked about that in previous interviews and previous videos. If they do bring in a minimum wage, I think that will start to kill for the CAs. I mean, I think that will reduce the numbers of CAs that are taken on, certainly by 1-2 person law firms. They'll probably just opt out of doing that. I think as the software gets cleverer that the law firms are using, I think they'll hire less junior lawyers. So there will be a bit of a decrease on that side of things, but it won't affect profits. I think that's the thing. That's the key. I'm expecting law firms to continue profit as they reduce the amount of people they're hiring at the junior end, and increase their uptake and usage of technology. We will see an uptake in profits, I think. So what we'll see is probably a decrease in jobs, but an increase in profitability of law firms. Our statistics show very clearly. If I share this chart with you now, let me just get there. There we go. It's a very simple chart. It's African law firm growth, revenue growth over the next few years. So 2024 is down there. all the way up to 2033. And this is based on historical numbers and then expected compounded interest growth percentage. And, we're looking at, phenomenal growth. I mean, we're looking across the continent at it being a USD $10 billion industry. And only where our data goes back to the year 2001, when it was just over $1 billion. So that's phenomenal growth. And there's no reason why that shouldn't continue to go. Legal services will reach more people. There'll be cleverer software that will help with that. There'll be less lawyers needed in the law firms because the technology that the lawyers are using will fill up a lot of that work, and therefore the profits will grow. And I think that's one of the things that has scared lawyers over the last 12 months, as we've seen this increase in AI and AGI, whereby people are thinking that it may well decrease the amount that they can charge, or the amount of profit they're going to be making, and that's simply not the case. Anyway, look, I'm talking about 100 different things here. There's going to be growth in the corporate space. It's going to be a feel-good factor. Financial services, tech. I think it's all going to be a particularly good year. We're right at the forefront of it. We're expecting good numbers in terms of the remuneration that's being paid, because profitability will go up. And yeah, all in all, we're looking forward to a very, very good year. We don't see any major moves. I mean, I looked at the Daily Investor article the other day that talks about the big four audit firms who are always toying with the legal market. And apparently, according to that, KPMG bringing 2.2 billion rand in South Africa. That's obviously largely a humongous proportion of that is in their auditing and accounting and management consulting, as very small on the legal side of things, and that will probably continue as well. So, look, all in all, it's going to be a great year. You should definitely get in touch. There's not going to be a huge amount of change in terms of, there's not going to be a massive abundance of in-house positions, certainly not from the data that we're looking at. There will be a steady growth of legal tech roles and jobs changing within the law firms. But the profitability is going to increase, and therefore that should lead to better remuneration. And if the firms aren't paying you better remuneration, then it's probably time to look for somewhere that will do. So yes, look, we are here to help, my team and I. We're looking forward to a great 2024. We hope you are too. Obviously, there's our summit coming up in February. Hopefully, those of you who are going to join us in Cape Town for that, that's the in-house summit. I'm sure you've seen all the adverts going around and the videos going around. Well, all of the major GCs from across Africa are going to be flying into Cape Town in mid-Feb. We've got the wonderful Mayor of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis, opening the ceremony for us. It's going to be an incredible event. Hope to see you there. Get in touch about the job market, and here's to an amazing 2024 where we can all get on and grow and build together. And let's have a good one. Cheers. Bye-bye.